All right, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another live stream. It's been a while since I have done a live on House of Canada. I normally reserve this for like question period and parliamentary stuff only, but there is a last minute announcement that Freeland is doing, which she is extremely late for, that I just couldn't help myself, and I wanted to share the stream with you guys. So we're going to be taking a look at this. Very bizarre, man. Very, very bizarre. She's like 20, almost 30 minutes late and just trotted in super slowly. So kind of weird, but nonetheless, it's begun. So we're going to take a look at this right now. So sit back, relax, and enjoy her shrieking voice to the best of your ability. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. I do want to encourage you guys to smash the like button, though. This is a very unusual midweek live stream outside of Parliament. So could appreciate any of the support by you guys liking and sharing and engaging with the stream. Without further ado, let's get into the stream here, guys.
I am really glad to have you here with us too, and I'm glad to have had a chance to chat. Most of all, though, it is so wonderful to be here with a handful of Team Canada's incredible athletes who will be competing in the upcoming Paris Olympics, who will be proudly wearing our flag, wearing the maple leaf, and competing on our behalf. Could we please give them a round of applause? Yeah. We are very proud of you, and it is such a privilege to have met a few of you and to hear about the incredible hard work and dedication that has gone into your training. And you know we're going to be cheering you on in a few weeks. Our government is delivering fairness for every generation, and our plan includes investing in Canada's athletes, like the amazing athletes who are here with us today. They represent us, they wear the maple leaf, and we are so proud of them. We're so proud of you. That's why I'm so glad that with our 2024 budget, our government is investing in athletes across Canada, whether they're competing at the Olympics and Paralympics or in their local arena. Specifically, we're investing $35 million over 5 years and $7 million a year going forward in the Athlete Assistance Program. The Athlete Assistance Program is such an important resource. It provides direct financial support to over 1,800 Canadian athletes who are trying to balance their incredibly intense training with work or school.
$35 million for 2,000 athletes.
Every month for these athletes to help cover training, living, and school expenses while they are preparing to compete for Canada, to represent us at major sporting events, including the Olympics and Paralympic Games. We're also investing $16 million over 2 years in the Sports Support Program to help sports organizations ensure a safe and inclusive environment for athletes. This includes supporting athletes with injuries and with their mental health. Dans le but de protéger nos athlètes, notre gouvernement a investi 10,6 millions de dollars dans la Commission sur l'avenir du sport au Canada. La commission a été lancée en mai afin.
All right, man. French is my first language, even though you don't hear me ever talk it. I've been around French my entire life. I don't know what the hell is wrong with her. But her French is weird as shit.
Afin que nos athlètes vivent des expériences sûres et positives. Finally, to make sports more accessible for every generation of Canadians, we're investing $15 million over 2 years to help community sports programs and reduce barriers to participating in sports. It can be expensive to play some sports. Equipment like helmets and skates and hockey sticks can really add up, as so many parents across Canada know. And this funding will help cover some of those costs so everyone can afford to play a sport they love. Nous savons que les athlètes s'entraînent
That doesn't make any sense.
et
$15 million buys
à leur sport. Ces investissements
fuck all for an
permettront
entire
aux athlètes
country.
canadiens d'exceller dans les années à venir et d'inspirer les futures générations d'athlètes. I'd like to conclude by sharing some good economic news.
Oh, God.
Stats Canada reported that the Canadian economy grew 0.3%, showing that the Canadian economy remains resilient. In fact, the Canadian economy grew at an annualized rate of 1.7% in the first quarter of this year. That is stronger than the growth in the United States, and it is the second fastest rate of growth in the G7. The StatsCan flash estimate is for 1.8% annualized growth in the second quarter. Overall, the OECD expects the Canadian economy to see the second fastest rate of growth among the G7 this year, and the fastest growth in 2025, tied only with the United States. And this comes following the encouraging news we've had on interest rates. Last month, the Bank of Canada lowered interest rates, making Canada the first G7 country to do so. Inflation in Canada has now been within the Bank of Canada's target range for 5 months in a row, and wage growth has outpaced inflation for 16 months in a row. Also last month, the International Monetary Fund released its annual Article 4 review of the Canadian economy, and in that statement, the IMF commended Canada's strong fiscal credibility and economic resilience. Plus particulièrement, l'FMI a félicité notre gouvernement d'avoir respecté les objectifs budgétaires que nous avons prévus.
So for those just tuning in, she's lying about inflation, she's lying about interest rates, and she's pledging millions, 35 million plus $15 million more towards social programs that are inevitably going to fail in Canada.
À moyen terme, nous avons respecté tous les objectifs du budget 2024. L'FMI a reconnu que l'économie canadienne semble avoir réalisé un atterrissage en douceur. Ainsi, le Canada a pu éviter une récession et la déchirante hausse du taux de chômage que de nombreuses personnes croyaient inévitable. And today, almost 1.3 million more Canadians are working compared to before the pandemic. After our budget was tabled in April, Moody's and S&P, two of the leading credit ratings agencies, reaffirmed Canada's AAA rating with a stable outlook. These are all powerful economic proof points. They show that Canada's economy is strong and resilient. They show that our economic plan is fiscally responsible. And that really matters because it means that we can afford to make the investments that Canadians need in housing, in making life more affordable, in economic growth, and in our outstanding Canadian athletes, in our Olympians. Our government is acting now, and we're acting with purpose, because we know that Canadians are counting on us. Thank you very much, and I will now hand it over to my dear colleague, Minister Marcy Yin.
Oh, God.
Thank you. Hello, bonjour, merci beaucoup, Christia. Mayor Krantz-Gord, it's good to see you, councillors as well. Adam.
I can't wait for the reporters to ask some
It is
questions.
amazing to be
It's
here
going to
in
be about the
Milton. Adam
by-election.
called the velodrome earlier the heartbeat of Milton, and it absolutely is. It is. Sport brings us together. It always has. It has a unique power to unite us in good times and in bad. Nelson Mandela knew a thing or two about trying times, and he famously said this. He said, "Sport has the power to change the world. It has the power to inspire. It has the power to unite people in a way that little else does. It speaks to youth in a language that they understand. Sport can create hope where once there was only despair. Hope. Whether it's huddled around a television to watch Canadians compete on a world stage like our amazing athletes behind us, tuning into the NHL finals to cheer on the Oilers, celebrating a hard-fought Toronto Raptors NBA championship, or a groundbreaking kick-butt professional women's hockey league, we cheer, we hope, together, under one banner, the Canadian flag. But the
Now I just want them to remember that next time they try to be divisive and wave other flags. United under one flag, the Canadian flag. Why is that so hard for them to stick to that, not just with sports, but with everything in Canada? Canadian flag, that's all that matters. Not some colorful flag, not other made up flags. The Canadian flag. That's it, that's all. They just said it themselves.
The road from the playground to the pitch or the field or the rink to the podium can be fraught with all kinds of obstacles, not just for athletes, but for families that support them and for communities that rally behind them. Today's announcement is about supporting our athletes through the Athletes Assistance Program. I asked a couple of the athletes just a couple of minutes ago, what will this mean? And it means a lot. Big changes in their lives. It means financial support. They need that. We owe them that. Helping to relieve financial strain so they can focus on training and competing, doing what they do best. But this is also about community sport for all and removing barriers to accessing sport at a community level. Because as Chris just said, fees add up. Whether it's the cost of registration or a pair of new shoes, cleats, skates, they add up. Ces dépenses s'additionnent et les enfants méritent d'avoir une chance équitable de poursuivre.
I mean, it wouldn't add up.
What does increasing access?
It wouldn't add up that much if these idiots would make our cost of living a little bit more affordable. But a new pair of skates is insane. It's like $500-$600 for a pair of skates. That doesn't make any sense. Makes no sense at all.
Access to sport mean? It means bridging the gap of entry so that all you need to do to participate is show up and want to play, no matter who you are. MP Vancouverden, Adam, everyone knows who you are. You've inspired so many by sharing your story. I've heard.
Not to mention jumping into the DMs of a Canadian woman and telling her to F off.
It many times. How you came up, where you came from, your road to becoming an Olympic gold medalist, now member of Parliament. You've walked the walk, or should I say kayaked it. So please come and share what today means to you, Adam, to Milton, to communities across this country, but most importantly, athletes. Merci beaucoup. Thank you so much.
Wow. Thanks everybody for being here. Merci d'être ici aujourd'hui, tout le monde.
Aujourd'hui. Come on, bro.
Pour Canada et pour notre économie. That's great news. Thank you very much for that update. And we know that when we support all aspects of our economy, including physical activity, recreation, and sport, we get really, really great outcomes. And today is all about inspiring those outcomes, laying the groundwork for those outcomes, and frankly, investing in those outcomes. This is an affordability measure for over 1,800 Canadians, the Canadians that compete for Canada. For almost 20 years, I was one of those athletes. I grew up in community housing, just a little bit south of here. And when I told my mom that I could get my university paid for in a monthly check just by making the national team, it made a really big difference in my life. And this is a real full circle moment for me, not just because I've got two of my friends from the Burloak Canoe Club here who are now competing for Canada, or friends from Milton that call this place home from a training perspective, and Jackie and Carson, but just because we are continually investing in the things that make a difference for Canadians. It's been a challenging couple of years here in Milton, from coast to coast to coast. There's been a lot of curveballs thrown our way. There's been a lot of upheavals in our economy. But when I think of some of the highest moments of the last couple of years, watching Kelsey Mitchell in the middle of a pandemic win gold medals for Canada on a track just like this one in Tokyo, or watching our amazing Toronto Raptors win that championship. Sport truly brings us together, and whether it's through investments in community sport for all, which through the last 4 years we've invested over $60 million in this program, and it's had a resonating impact right across this country. And on that side of the equation, we're not talking about high performance. We're talking about making sure that all kids have access and everybody feels welcome, and that sport, physical activity, and recreation doesn't have these high walls built up around it, that it's a universally accessible opportunity for absolutely everyone. And I know that about $5,000 of that $60 million ended up right here in the velodrome through the Hop On program with Cycling Canada, getting young kids on a bike for the first time ever in their lives, giving them that mobility, that freedom, and that opportunity to ride a bike. And one of my favorite athletes and a great activist as well is LeBron James. And he used to talk about how a bike changed his life when he was young, because it allowed him to leave his community for the first time and go out and just be out in and around where he grew up in Akron, Ohio. And it's the same thing here in Milton. This is a big community. Kids want to get around. They want to have access to whether it's a shop or a park, or they just want to go and see their friends. The Hop On program is providing that accessibility through the Community Sport for All initiative. But back to national teams, in less than a month, Team Canada will take the stage at the Paris Olympics. And a month after that, our amazing Paralympians will compete for gold in Paris. And everybody loves watching those athletes compete. We get so excited when they win gold medals and they come home with incredible stories of triumph, whether they succeed or not. And I'm blessed to have had a career where I've had lots of highs and lots of lows and everything in between. But those stories are part of our Canadian fabric. And they tell the stories of the Canadian experience. And they're diverse, they're different, but they all inspire us to be better every single day. So we're doing a little bit to support our national team athletes. For those watching back home, all 1,800 national team athletes are getting a little raise from the federal government today. And it's because Chrystia Freeland, our amazing finance minister, and Marcy Ian, our amazing minister of lots of, it's a long title. Women and gender equality, know that these investments really, really pay off, and they certainly do. I'm so proud to be part of this government, and I'm proud to work with amazing ministers like this. I'm also proud to work in a community that invests right here, and to speak a little bit about how much this velodrome, the beating heart of Milton, means to us here at home. I'd like to invite His Worship, Canada's longest serving mayor ever, Gordon Krantz, to the podium.
Wow.
Well, that's a cool little fun fact, eh?
Adam, thank you very much for that. And first of all, a great big welcome. And of course, Krista and Marcy, we're on first name basis, we've already established that. But on the serious side, a great big welcome to the velodrome in Milton here. The announcement that the Deputy Minister just made is very significant, not only to the velodrome in Milton here, but to athletes all across the nation. And of course, my fingerprints are all over this facility here, and I question my own sanity back in the day when we were talking about, when we were supporting, but if you don't risk every once in a while, it's not going to pay off, and it really has paid off tremendously. And of course, the young gentleman that I'm about to introduce in just a moment, it's a testament to that. If you buy into supporting sports, it'll come back home to roost. And of course, we've got a bunch of athletes, not only from Milton, the region of Halton, the province of Ontario. They come here to train from internationally and nationally as well to this facility here. So this will just go a long, long way to supporting those young athletes like Carson that's coming up here right now and sharing some of his stories. So welcome, Carson, one of the great athletes.
Just want to say, first of all, thank you very much for that excellent introduction. So we talk a lot about the legacy of facilities like this. In 2015, when the Pan Am Games came to Toronto, was around the time when I was just starting to get interested in cycling. And for reference, I was maybe around 12 at the time. And the Pan Am torch-bearing ceremony came through my hometown of Ancaster. So getting to see some of these athletes and meet them and speak to them and even got a photo with the torch really inspired me to think about maybe competing in a sport one day. It was something that hadn't been on my radar screen at the moment. And then in 2019, the next consecutive Pan Am Games, I actually knew some of the national team athletes through cycling that were competing, and some of them even came home with medals. And that was a massive inspiration for me, because now, I had been invested in cycling for a couple years, and I got to see firsthand through my friends that I knew in the national team where it could get me. And now I've come full circle. I've been to a Pan Am Games where we won a gold medal, and I'm on my way to Paris this summer to compete in the team pursuit, where hopefully we can follow up with another great result. We've talked a lot about today the AAP support for athletes, and firsthand what this means for me is it means I don't have to make compromises. I don't have to make decisions between getting maybe some of the recovery I need or the equipment I'm required to replace, or even just groceries. Less than 2 years ago, I was still competing as a junior cyclist, so that meant mainly local competitions, things within Canada, maybe a trip or two to the States, and very quickly I stepped up to now the international level, racing a full Olympic qualification calendar, which has some added costs to it. You're training twice as much, which means now you're eating twice as much, so just grocery bills goes up. So now to be part of the team and beyond the Olympics, knowing that I have this consistent support month in, a check is arriving, and now knowing that amount is going to increase, it just gives me, a lot more security to keep doing what I'm doing and put myself in a position to perform at the best at the Olympics this summer and beyond. So that's my 2 cents, and now I'm going to introduce you to my wonderful teammate, Jackie Boyle.
Man, I just want to see questions that are asked towards Freeland.
Thanks, teammate. I have a little bit of a different story to Carson. I didn't know what track cycling was 5 years ago. I transferred from volleyball at university, and so obviously this building was built in 2015 for the Pan Am Games. I found out what track cycling was in 2019, and I'm headed to Paris as well in 4 weeks' time. And so in terms of the Athlete Assistance Program, which is the AAP, that is our stable form of income as an athlete in Canada, not just cycling, but every sport across Canada. And so having this increase, it gives me goosebumps.
Okay, first of all, chat, who knew that the Olympics were happening at the end of July and August? I had no idea. I had absolutely no idea. Like I feel like I've always paid attention to the Olympics. It's always been something that's like, wow, this is awesome. But the past few Olympics, I just really couldn't care less. And maybe that's just me and my own bias with my own life experiences and with, things that I have going on in life. Like I just had, my son was just born the other day, right, on Canada Day, like absolutely blessed and excited about that. But I had no idea. I had no idea the Olympics were even here. Like that's insane. Let me know what you guys have been, if you've been paying attention to that, if you've been aware or even looking forward to that. Because I had no idea. I see some other people saying, nope, I had no idea. And I see very few people saying, yes, I did know. So bit of a mixed reaction, but most of the comments that I'm seeing in the live chat are, I had no idea. Also, I couldn't care less. So it seems like a lot of us are on the same page. Also, I want to address a couple super chats. Acceptable majority, also known as unacceptable fringe. Thank you for bringing us the news, Jasper. Congrats on the new arrival. Keep up the great work. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate that. Henry Mann with a $10 American. Dude, again, it's always an American with you. That's incredible. That's like $1 bajillion Canadian. Happy Canada Day, MSB. Congrats on the new addition to the family. As an American, happy Independence Day. Yes, happy Independence Day. Happy 4th of July for the American viewers. I get so caught up sometimes in my Canadian stuff. Just everything's about Canada. I do forget sometimes that I have quite a few American viewers. Also, even if it's on House of Canada, there's still American viewers. So thank you very much for that. I appreciate that. Georgina with the gifted membership. Thank you. That is awesome. Very nice of you. Very nice. All right, let's continue this here. I am on a bit of a timeline. I have to bring my daughter to a swim lesson, but let's try and get through this here.
Goosebumps just standing here, although it's not much to the naked eye for an athlete to have that increase per month to either help with rent, to be in the facility in the location that they want to train, For me being in Milton, this has provided me access in order to pay rent here, in order to train here full time with the teammates that I love, and that we will be heading to Paris together. And so it gives me goosebumps to hear this. It's amazing news, and I'm very, very grateful not only to represent Canada, but to be able to have that stable funding so that I can focus on performing versus having a part-time job to cover expenses. So thank you.
Thank you.
I guess we'll start the media component. There's
Here we
a
go, questions.
there for journalists interested in asking questions. It'll be one question, one follow-up. Just state your name and your outlet. Nous passons maintenant à la période des questions. Ce sera une question.
Let's go. Ask Freeland what we all want to know.
Intéressé. Notez votre nom et votre média. Et pour la question.
Hi. Sorry. Laura Stone, Globe and Mail, Deputy Prime Minister. I wanted to ask you, it's our understanding that you hosted some Toronto MPs at your home last night.
There it is.
Outline for us how that came about, what they wanted to talk to you about, and how you addressed their concerns about the fallout from the St. Paul's by-election.
Oh my God. I'm sorry. I can't contain my emotions. This press conference, apparently, it turns out it was about funding for athletes. You got Canadian athletes that are about to go off to the Olympics. And the first question out the gate ain't about athletes, ain't about funding, ain't about the Olympics. It's about the loss of the by-election and all of the MPs that are having these secret meetings without Justin Trudeau. I fucking love this country. I love our reporters. Let's go, mainstream media. They're turning on the Liberals, man. This makes me so happy. Oh, man. I never thought I'd be this happy for reporters to ask politicians questions, but woo-wee! Well, buckle up, buckle up, folks. This is going to be fucking fun between now and the next election, whether that's a scheduled federal election or whether something happens sooner than later. Holy crap, this is going to be a lot of fun.
So I would say that's not entirely accurate. John McKay is the chair of the 416 caucus, and he chaired an in-person meeting of some 416 caucus members. I offered my backyard because it's in a central location. So we did have a meeting. John chaired it. I think it was a really, really valuable opportunity for us to talk with each other, to talk about the results of the by-election, to talk about what they mean, to talk about hearing what Canadians are telling us, and to talk about working really, really hard to do a better job of delivering for Canadians on the things that they need, on housing, on affordability, on economic growth, and doing it all in a fiscally responsible way so that interest rates can continue to come down.
Excuse me, and can you address the calls for change that are coming from some prominent Liberals who say, following that...
Imagine working your entire life to be, this is no disrespect to the athletes, but working your entire life to be in tip-top condition to be an athlete, right? And grinding and going to the Olympics. And then all of a sudden the politicians say, hey, we'd love for you to be in the background and to say a few words. The government asks you, not just politicians, the government asks you, we see your efforts, you're going to the Olympics, and we want you to say a few words on a national broadcast. And so you go and you set time aside out of your training schedule, out of your packing your suitcase schedule, and you're nervous. You're like, oh my God, like my palms are sweaty. I'm going to speak with the government about going to the Olympics. The whole country gets to listen to me talk about going to the Olympics. And the first two questions out of the reporters' mouths aren't about the Olympics, aren't about the training and the sacrifices and the funding that you put into crafting who you are and your entire existence as an athlete. It's about the failing government. You can't make this up. This is such a slap in the face to the athletes, first of all. And my laughter and excitement isn't meant to come at the expense of the athletes, but it's more funny from the failing government's standpoint that no matter what they do, no matter who they put in front of them to talk, to soften the blow, all we want to know is, when are you resigning? What the hell's the matter with you? Why are you having secret meetings without Justin Trudeau? That's all people care about. And it's just horrible. You could have a person who single-handedly rescued a building that was on fire with a bunch of kittens and puppies, and the politicians say, come on, come talk to the whole country, talk to the whole world, sit right here in front of this microphone. I just saved a house or a building full of kittens and puppies. Wow, I'm nervous, but I feel so great. Okay, time for questions. Ready? Why is Justin Trudeau so bad at his job? Like, it's just, you can't make this shit up. No one cares about anything in this country other than the Liberals. The Liberals, Justin Trudeau, Freeland, all these people resigning, and why they're doing so bad in the polls, and why they can't even answer questions. It's such a slap in the face to the athletes, and my laughter, I don't want it to be mixed up with, laughing at their expense. Because, yeah, I mean, okay, I didn't know the Olympics were coming. Yeah, okay, guilty as charged. I had no idea, right? Is it that big of a deal to me? Not really in this given moment, but I got a lot of personal stuff going on. I got a 2-year-old, and I got a son that's being born. Do I recognize the amount of effort that goes into an athlete crafting their craft and all the sacrifices that are involved? Yeah, absolutely. It's a tremendous amount of work, right? But it just sucks. It sucks that they're in the shadow of the government. Anyone who associates, talks with Justin Trudeau, Chrystia Freeland, talks with the Liberal government about anything, they're in their shadow now forever. And when it comes time for people to be people to inquire with questions about, whoever is in that shadow, they don't care. It's about the failing government. It's just, it's poetically funny and sad simultaneously. Oh my God.
By-election, something significant needs to happen. The leader needs to change, some sort of policy development needs to happen. There needs to be a symbol that the party is listening to the results, and there has to be a reaction to that. Do you think that that your government needs to make a significant change here?
The Prime Minister has my full support. I know he has the full support of Cabinet, and I know he has the full support of the vast, vast majority of Liberal MPs. The people of Toronto St. Paul's did send us a message, and it is absolutely incumbent on us to hear that message. That message was, things are hard. Life is really challenging right now. And you, our government, need to do a better job delivering for us on the things that matter in our lives. You need to do a better job making life easier for us. And I think we are collectively absolutely committed to doing that. We are committed to delivering on housing, getting more homes built faster in Toronto, in Milton, across the country. We are committed to delivering on making life more affordable for Canadians. We're talking today about making life more affordable for our brilliant Olympian athletes, but we also need to make life more affordable for families with kids, with things like early learning and childcare. We need to make life more affordable by delivering dental care, by delivering pharmacare. We need to do that. We need to make life better for Canadians by delivering economic growth, by investing in jobs and growth. And we need to do it all in a fiscally responsible way so that interest rates can come down, because we recognize that interest rates have started to come down. That is really good news. But high interest rates are still a real burden on people across the country. So, yeah, Canadians, people in Toronto St. Paul's, they sent us a message. They said, work harder, deliver for us. Things are hard for us. We expect you to work hard and deliver results and make things easier. And that's what we are totally committed to doing.
We recognize that we need to do better, yet this entire press conference was surrounded around the government giving athletes in Canada not 10,000, not 20,000 athletes or even dollars, but giving 1,800 athletes a total sum of $50 million, if I'm not mistaken. That's how much. There was a $35 million and a $15 million giveaway. But yeah, they totally understand what people are saying. Why is it so hard for anyone to just say, we've messed up? we're not understanding Canadians. We're not understanding the problems. And we hear you loud and clear. And we have messed up. And we're going to fix this. We're going to listen to you guys and we're going to fix this. We're sorry. Why is it so hard to say that? No, it's just more projecting and trying to buy time. Trying to buy time with our money.
Next question. Prochaine question.
Kurt Brownridge, Global News, also for the Deputy Prime Minister. If you could approach the podium again and just make sure I can.
I appreciate it.
How concerned are you about U.S. retaliation on Canadian companies due to the digital services tax?
This entire press conference has nothing to do with the by-election, has nothing to do really with interest rates, it has nothing to do with global relations. It had to do with athletes going to the Olympics and Canada giving $50 million more towards athletes. This is insane. The reporters don't even care. Everyone's just waiting for the politicians and the people that just spoke to speak. And then like, okay, great. You guys are done. Awesome. Why do you suck at your job? What's wrong with you? Are you going to fix it? The support you have is pretty much gone. So when are you going to resign? I fucking love this. This is peak Canadian news. This is as good as it gets.
Thank you for the question. And I think it's worth starting by being very, very clear that Canada's preference is and always has been a multilateral solution on the DST, a multilateral agreement around Pillar 1. Canada also has been and continues to be engaged in bilateral conversations with the United States about a win-win outcome for our two countries, which are so closely connected. When it comes to the DST, Canada has played a big role, and we as a country made a big sacrifice in the work towards a multilateral solution. And we made that sacrifice by agreeing to pause our DST. We committed to doing that until the end of 2023 because there was an international commitment to get Pillar 1 done by then. That didn't happen. And we didn't get Pillar 1 done by the end of June either. And it was simply not reasonable, not fair for Canada to indefinitely put our own measures on hold. I think it's also really important for Canadians to understand that a number of other countries have a DST in place right now, and they have had a DST in place for a number of years with no retaliation. Those countries include our G7 allies and partners, the UK, France, and Italy. And as Canada's finance minister and as Canada's deputy prime minister, I can't accept Canada permanently being in a discriminated position. I can't accept Canada permanently or indefinitely being in a worse position from our allies. So that's why Canada needed to move forward. And then just in closing and addressing sort of the nub of your question, we have acted collaboratively at all times. We have been and continue to work really hard to achieve a multilateral solution. We have specifically been working very hard and very collaboratively with the U.S., and I am confident that a win-win outcome, a negotiated win-win outcome for Canada and the U.S. is absolutely possible. And we've been very clear with the U.S., with our multilateral partners about Canada's position and where Canada would need to go absent a multilateral deal. And then just finally, on the question of retaliation, we really believe a win-win outcome is possible. We believe that the way to achieve that is to negotiate in good faith, to negotiate creatively with our multilateral partners and with the U.S., and also to be strong.
Thank you. And a quick follow-up from our Ottawa Bureau. Your party is 20 points down in the polls, and you've lost one of the safest Liberal seats in the city you've represented, largely due to voters' concerns around the cost of living and their finances. Can you explain why you should stay on as finance minister?
Well, that's a choice for the Prime Minister, of course. But what I will say is there was definitely a clear message from the voters of Toronto, St. Paul's. And I think it's really important for our government to hear that message and to act on that message. And that message was, things are hard. Life is hard. You as the government need to act and deliver to make life easier for us. We hear that, and we know that we have to work harder, and we have to deliver and show results for Canadians. We have to deliver on housing. We have to deliver on making life more affordable. We have to deliver on economic growth and jobs. And we have to continue to do all of that in a fiscally responsible way that allows interest rates to continue to come down. So that's what we're committed to doing.
Next.
Absolutely insane, folks, that they're literally doing a press conference with athletes that are going to the Olympics in like the next 2 weeks. And when reporters are given the opportunity to ask questions, it has absolutely nothing to do with the athletes. I feel bad. I feel really bad if I'm being totally honest. Like, it's funny for, the failure of and the collapse of the Liberal government, but it's not funny for anyone who gets used by them, right? Like, these people are just props. They're not even real people. Why even hold that press conference? Literally, what this is telling us now is that nobody cares about these athletes or their story or funding athletes. Not at all. It's all about the failures of this Liberal government. And it's not going to end there. It's going to continue. So whoever the Liberals bring up next could be a cancer survivor, someone who found a way to power vehicles by using friendly words. Like, I don't know, who cares, right? Like, positive reinforcement, yay, and a vehicle drives forward. I have no idea, right? But no matter who the Liberals try to use during a press conference or whatever their story is, no matter how positive it may be, it won't matter at the end of the day, because everyone wants to know the same question. When are you resigning, and why didn't you do it yesterday? And that's pretty much how the rest of this interview is going to go. Ladies and gentlemen, I hate to cut us off while we're getting into the meat and potatoes of this, but everything is going to be the exact same thing, the questions and the answers. And I have to bring my daughter to a swim class, so I have to get going. I am sorry, but do expect some more live streams on this channel throughout the summer break when they do press conferences. And I'm also going live tonight on Mistersunshinebaby, so be sure to tune in for that as well. I look forward to seeing you there. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to the House of Canada impromptu live stream. This press conference was very impromptu, and thank you, everybody, for the super chats and the donations and all that stuff, and the very nice words and support and encouragement for my son being born on Canada Day. That is just an incredible story within itself. Peace and love, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day.